So I wanted to watch some Leslie Nielsen movies because that's a guy that he came around just a little bit before my own time, and I'd never seen anything of his. And so I looked up his name on Google, and the two movies that came up were Airplane and Forbidden Planet. And I watched them both. I watched Airplane first, and it was good. I enjoyed it. It's a good comedy, but didn't really leave me with anything to say about it, you know. It was just fun. But then I watched Forbidden Planet, and I'll just say going into it, I didn't know anything about it. I just thought I was going to be watching like a sci-fi comedy, you know. But, I mean, it became clear to me that even within the first like 10 minutes of this movie that I had stumbled upon one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made. And as it turns out, I'm not the only one that thinks that. It is considered one of the greatest sci-fi movies ever made. And in fact, it is also considered to be one of the pioneers of the genre. The premise of this movie is there's a space crew that has been tasked to go visit this alien planet where 20 years prior, there was also another team of people sent to that same planet to investigate an alien species out there. And now, this movie follows a new crew of people who are also going to the same planet, but what they're tasked to do is actually just to follow up on the previous team, because, you know, those people are still up there, but they've never reported back to Earth to let us know like what's going on out there. So now we're sending some people out to take a look. I feel like I didn't explain that very well, but whatever. It doesn't matter. There's a space crew going to an alien planet, and they're checking in on some people up there. A funny detail before I go on, I think it's just like a funny detail I want to mention is that they're actually the guy that's up there. His name is Dr. Morbius. So, there's actually some untapped meme potential in this movie, if you're into that sort of thing. So, if I'm going to talk about this movie, I think I got to tell you about how this movie looks. I'm going to overlay some footage right now, just so you can see for yourself, because I don't think I could properly describe it to you. What you're going to see is like a lot of physical objects and physical sets, instead of like all the animation that we see these days. And they're using more practical effects. And it's not to say that, you know, one way of doing things is better than another, but I will say that seeing something like this nowadays is really refreshing. I've never really seen a movie like this. You know, this is the kind of style that I've seen references to, or like seen bits and pieces, but this is the first time I'm really seeing a full movie made in this old way. And actually, when I watched this, I actually didn't even recognize Leslie Nielsen. Like, I watched this because of him, but actually, I was looking for like, you know, an older guy with white hair. But actually, he's very young in this movie, and he's not playing a comedic role at all. I also quickly want to talk about just like what this movie sounds like, because this soundtrack is like the epitome of what a good sci-fi soundtrack is. You know, the blips and the bloops. It's very good. You know, the visuals and the audio work together to make this it makes it such a spectacle, you know. But what I like about it is that nothing actually looks very believable, you know. And that works very well to kind of isolate the human behavior that it's examining. This movie makes you look at things like our relationship with each other and our relationship with technology or AI, and also our relationship with things that are foreign to us. And I think that what this movie did for me, and you know, what it made me think about is my own motivations and, you know, why I do the things that I do on a daily basis. Because I can be pretty secretive and self-destructive sometimes. And when you look at those behaviors in a vacuum, it's just really strange that the things I'm willing to do just to make myself feel at peace with my own life and like comfortable with my own existence, you know what I mean? It's truly a thinking man's kind of movie, and I like it for that reason. I think that, I'm a thinking kind of guy. There's not a lot of action in this movie. It's very dialogue heavy. And I think for me, that's something that works for me. I like that. I'm not a big fan of action. I sort of feel like when I see an action sequence that's like 10 minutes long, I mean, it's kind of entertaining, but at the same time, I just know that for the next 10 minutes, nothing's actually going to happen. And so I like that it's not very action heavy. In fact, it's very dialogue heavy. And I would actually recommend that if you're going to watch this, if you're intrigued by what I'm talking about, I would recommend using subtitles. I used subtitles. I remember watching the beginning of this movie. Like, I watched the first 20 minutes of this movie or so without subtitles, and I got to a point where I realized I had just spaced out for like an entire conversation and had no idea what was going on. So subtitles were very helpful for me, and I think also just in the way that it's written, the conversations don't sound natural, if you know what I mean. They sound like they're premeditated and rehearsed, and of course they are because it is a movie. But I mean, it's like the characters already know. They can already see ahead of themselves in the story, and in the conversations are written in such a way where they're just trying to express an idea. They're trying to propel the themes of the movie. People sound smarter than they would normally, and things like that. Yeah, I'm just surprised that I had never heard of this movie before. It seems like something that, I mean, it's a movie that I feel like everybody should know about. It's such a landmark, but maybe it just, for whatever reason, it's been forgotten over time. It's just been maybe overshadowed by the other blockbusters of the day. But yeah, that's my take. That's my video. Good day. Thank you for watching.